Hello, everybody, and welcome to Virtue Field in Burlington, Vermont. I'm Brian with Matt. It's a big USL2 match day and a chance to bounce back for Vermont Green FC. Last time we were here, a 1-0 loss for the Green against Western Mass Pioneers. Matt, second time they're facing Boston. This is a big opportunity to get back with 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thinking about the last home match versus, Western Mass, it was a frustrating game because it felt like there was a match there to, at minimum, like we were discussing, get a point out of. There was a lot of chances created late on in that match. There was some created during the match. The goal against was, just from one error, really. But it wasn't like, Vermont Green had necessarily been making errors all over the field and creating chance after chance, giving up the ball for Western Mass. But, that's the way it goes sometimes. You lose a match 1-0 as hard as you tried for it. I did think that they put in a lot of effort. I think, Coach Adam, I'm not going to presume to know what he thinks, but based off of kind of watching him and understanding who he is a bit more, I think he'll be pleased with at least, the level of effort and the performance. So it's a great match to bounce back. I'm not going to say just show up and it's going to happen versus Boston Bolts. At this level, like, you have to actually put in the work to win any match no matter what. But I do think this is a good opportunity to try to get your confidence back, get your groove back. And yeah, get some goals. Let's get some goals. I feel dried up.
It is dried up. It is warm. It is hot. It is sunny. The Bolts enter at 1-3-5. 5 ties for this team. They know how to go on the road and take a point. But this is a team that Vermont Green did beat 3-0 in the first matchup. I talked to assistant coach Chris Taylor in our pre-match interview that's coming up in just a bit about exactly that. But, Matt, as we take a look at this Vermont Green side, little tweaks that we're seeing throughout the 11, some of them forced, some of them just trying to find the right combinations, it feels like still.
Yeah, most interesting in the rotation is actually Ashford at left back. I don't have any, qualms with it or anything like that. It's just going to be interesting because so much of what I praise Ashford for is kind of like his role as a center back and always being in that perfect position. Like, he just has this immaculate sense of be 2 feet at this, angle or whatever it is, because he always wins his headers. He always kind of, like, if he knows he can't win the 50-50 off of, like, a ball, clearance, he takes his time, then times his tackle in, hard. But, that's going to be perfectly good attributes to have at left back anyways. It's just going to be interesting to see if he's going to have the same engine and kind of capability of getting back and forth as Messer does down that lane. Maybe we're okay with, not necessarily having Ashford overlap, all the time. And maybe I can also see Ashford, being on that back post on the crosses when we've held the ball up a little bit more in the attacking third, and he's being a little bit of a shark on the back, and then he makes the darting run in. We saw him win 2 headers in a row, and I'm pretty sure you said it. You were like, I'm pretty sure I just saw him verbalize, I'm going to win the next one.
Yep.
So he backs himself to get on those.
Our assistant coach, Chris Taylor, has a great comment about Ashford and that goal-scoring mindset that he does possess. So stay tuned for our pregame interview. But, Matt, I want to touch on somebody that might be up that left-hand wing with Ashford. It is Felipe D'Agostini. He's a guy that brought a real spark as well as Ashford off the bench against the Pioneers.
Yeah, it was unfortunate we could only see about 20 minutes of it, but 20 minutes was enough to tell me that, he's a difference maker when you put him into the lineup. He was very clean. He had a really good close touch. He was causing problems. It'll be interesting to see sometimes players with that type of ilk, when they come in late in a match and there's, legs are starting to get heavy, you can look a little better than you necessarily are, but we'll see how it goes when he's starting, especially. I have a lot of confidence in him. I really liked what I saw from him. I thought that he was creating chance after chance, like that late flurry that we were getting. So credit to him. Let's see what happens.
And we have to talk striker, right? It is not Dennis Kruchenkov. It is not Alfie Pope. It is not Nacho Larache. It is a Vermont catamount, Yaniv Bazini, making his debut for Vermont Green FC at the top of the formation. What can we expect from a guy who has played that position a lot, but it's his first game with the club?
Well, welcome home, Bazzini. So,
great to have him in Burlington for the summer.
Exactly. Welcome home. You brought the weather apparently with you because it was just rain for 10 days. No, it's going to be – we've been talking about the 3 strikers or forwards that we've had, to select from. And we've talked about, all right, what are the strengths and weaknesses between all 3 of them? we sort of landed that Nacho was just a little bit ahead because, A, he was in form. He was 5 goals in almost 2 matches or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
5 goals to lead it.
Leading the team. He just looked the sharpest of anybody. But now, we have this 4th selection, and from everything that we saw, especially when he had this partnership with, like, Alex Murray when he was playing at UVM, playing off of a bigger partner, somebody who could win those balls for it. It'll be interesting to see his style when he doesn't necessarily have somebody like Adams who might be receiving a ball straight out from, the goalkeeper and that he has to flick on with his head. That's not going to happen as often with Adam. So it's going to be a lot more balls on the ground. But everything that I've seen is that he makes very intelligent little darting runs. And the difference between him and Nacho is Nacho has like this fire about him,
That's for sure.
Yeah, and he makes those really darting, like quick 10, 20 meter like sprints, like hurries really hard for it. He puts a lot of pressure for it. Versus Bazzini, he actually glides sort of like he can sprint, but he sort of glides around, and I think he takes his space a little more intelligently on like those diagonal runs to receive it. So it'll be really interesting to see what he brings, how it looks with him up top.
We've got full starting 11 breakdowns coming up in just a bit, but for now, here's my sit down with assistant coach Chris Taylor. I'm joined pregame with assistant coach Chris Taylor. Coach, before the matchup with Boston today, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you doing?
Excited to have you back on our pregame show. There's a lot of ground I want to cover, but unfortunately you guys are coming off a loss. So let's start with the matchup against Western Mass last time out. Giving up an early goal, have some chances to get back in it, but never could quite find that equalizer. But it felt like, again, you guys had control of the play, and it was one of those games where there were chances you created. Assess all of that.
Yeah, I mean, watching the game back, very frustrating. We had the ball in their 18-yard box, in the 6-yard box a lot. We probably had 2-3 cleared off the line. Their goalkeeper made some good saves. So, we're definitely really feeling disappointed with the fact we for the first time this season, we didn't score. Because we felt we did enough to create the chances to do it. But we've got to be better in those areas. And then, you got to credit Western Mass for the way they played, and they were dangerous on the counter. But I think if you play that game numerous times with the same amount of chances, I'd like to think we put some of them away, being a little more clinical. So, we hate losing. We expect to win every game, and they're a quality opponent, but we should be better, and we should be taking the points in that game.
It is shaping up as a 3-team race at the top of the Northeast Division. Western Mass, Seacoast, and you guys, Vermont Green FC. Is it too early to look at the standings with only 2 teams that make the playoffs?
No, not at all. I mean, every single game is crucial at this point, and we knew the division was going to be very, very tight. Seacoast, Western Mass got tons of history of being successful in this division and nationally, so we knew they were going to be up there. They always are, and we're trying to disrupt that a little bit, being in last year. We got the taste for it, and we want to be there again. So, yeah, we look at the table and we look at other results, and, the pressure's on. The pressure on those guys, the pressure on us, and we want that. That's why the guys came here to play at a top team where the pressure's on all the time, because that's what their expectations are. So, yeah, every single point, every single match matters at this point.
It's a really unique looking at this Boston Bolts team. They've got 1 win, but 5 ties. How can you explain that? Have you been able to kind of dig through why they've been coming away with so many 1-point results instead of maybe some of those outcomes going one way or another?
Yeah, I mean, they're just a difficult team to play against. They got good coaching, very good coaching. They're a club that has academy teams, and so they've got a bit of an identity running through the club from the youth teams up, and it makes the way to this team. And I think they've proved a really tough opponent for the teams near the top of the table. And then, listen, it's always hard when then you turn around and you've got to be the team in the ascendancy trying to win the game. And scoring goals in this sport is hard. And I just think that maybe a lot of teams are missing that main player that can win you the game in an instance, and so they're going to be a quality opponent. They're dangerous. They're a team that we respect a lot. We've seen what they've been able to do in other big matchups, so they're going to be a quality opponent, no doubt about that.
And you've seen them already once this year, a 3-0 win at Boston Bolts. What has changed for you since then? How have they changed? How can you use that and rely on that previous experience seeing them?
I think they've changed a fair amount, a lot of different players. I think we maybe caught them at a decent time. It was our first game. Obviously, the excitement's high, but we're different as well. We've got a lot of new players. We've had some players leave. We've had some players join. Players are in different form. It's just how it goes. So, you never really know what you're getting into till teams show up. You don't know who's in the 18, who's not. They'll look at our 18 and think, well, I mean, you see the guys training out here now. There's some of the talent out there is unbelievable. They could be in R18, they could be in a lot of other ones, and it's the same for some other teams. So we're not going to put a lot of stock into that first matchup. It feels a long time ago now, but, each team scouts each other, and I think we've got a good idea of what they're all about.
One player I want to ask you about specifically, the team's captain, Jake Ashford. We've seen him mostly at center back in his career in Vermont Green. At the end of last game, you guys threw him out there in attacking position, and today he's starting at left back. What's it like to have somebody that's so versatile, and what was his reaction when you told him, you're going out there in the attacking spot at the end of the Western Mass game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, a bit of desperation to try and get a goal, but I think Ash will tell you in training every day he was born a number 9. He just happens to play centre-back, so I don't think he minds going up front, And
he had a couple big chances.
Oh, he had great chances. His impact was incredible, and I think it was the right moment at the right time for someone like him when we're lashing balls in the box a little bit, and he's a brave player. He's a lad who will put himself about to get the ball, but, we've got so many quality players here that sometimes you're just trying to get your best players on the pitch, and Ash has got a lot of quality. He's got a lot of leadership qualities, a lot of experience coming off his great career at Creighton and now coming to UVM with it. So, we've got 2 other good centre-backs here in Nate Jones and Musa and Zach Barrett as well. You can
go farther down the list than that, right?
It's crazy. So, we've lost Nate Messer for a little bit. So, we needed someone to fill in at left back, and Ash is just a quality player. I mean, you could put him in a number of spots and he'd do a job for you. So, there's no worries about that. And, again, I think he's someone who'll go out there and do a job for the team.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Good luck today.
Yeah, thank you.
Summer has officially arrived in Burlington, Vermont, and a chance for redemption for Vermont Green FC as they look to bounce back against the Boston Bolts this evening. Back with Brian and Matt in the press box. Matt, let's quickly run through the Bolts starting 11 before we meet Vermont Green FC. A familiar formation in a 4-3-3 for the Bolts. Lucian Wood, the starting keepers. Sardi Santos, Dewhurst, Walsh, and Heffes along the back line. Jiwoo Lee at left winger, Connor Gibson in the middle, and Michael Sekulius, the star at Virginia, who's tied for the team lead with a pair of goals. Then up top, Aiton Rosen, who's also scored twice. Sebastian Restrepo leads the attack, and Andrew Rent. Now briefly, let's run through the starting 11 for your Vermont Green. That's Nick Christopherson in net, and some things that definitely stand out, Matt.
Yeah, D'Agostini, Lane, Kamal, that's a new kind of, front 3 that's going on with Bazzini sitting in front of them. And I'm really interested to see how this, chemistry kind of develops from it. Bazzini, this is his home turf. He's very familiar with it. I like the way that he kind of moves. I mentioned that in our pre-match preview. So, and he's also got, I think, the most size. So he's going to be a good target man for what I'm noticing. We do cross the ball quite a lot. We try to play it on the ground a lot, but we do mix it up a little bit. So he might be a really good target to have up top, just based off of his size overall.
An early cross comes in from Michael Sekulius. He's operating at that right midfield spot for the Bolts. This is a Boston side, Matt, that are notoriously fast starters. They're 7th in the league at the moment with 8 points, 5 of them coming from ties. But this season, they've scored 7 first-half goals, and they've scored first in their last 6 matches. So they get off the bus and are ready to go.
So it kind of tells you a little bit that, they start the match well, they get that early goal maybe, but then after that it's very difficult in that discipline to actually hold that lead from there.
This is Sekulius to take the out-swinging right-footed corner. Towards the cage of Christopherson. It clears the head of Big Nate Jones. And there's Jones again, the 6'2" center back, showing his presence off early, and Probo trying to break. Into the path of Bilal Kamal, and numbers streaming forward for the Green. Yaniv Bazini in the middle. Kamal dancing, nasty. Kamal to the back post, nobody waiting. Ferreira. The rebound is knocked aside by Sardi Santos, but a good counter from the Green.
Really, it started with Probo, really good job of reading that awkward bounce for it. He kind of held back a little bit behind the player, and then he gets the ball, holds it just for a second, then plays the leading ball for Kamal. Kamal takes a great big touch, and then it's a beautiful cross, just nobody on the end of it. It was just a little too much, and then you see Ferreira settles it, takes a good shot, but there's a lot of bodies in front of it. It's a good start from Vermont.
Some pressure now on the cage of Lucien Wood, who just finished his freshman year at Harvard. Probo, that clears the rising Jones. Tracked down by Felipe D'Agostini. He can really shift. D'Agostini outside of the football. Oh. That's Yaniv Bazini. Welcome to the green. 2.5 minutes in, he's got his first in the green.
How much time are we in? 2:40? Ask and you shall receive. You know, we had question marks about, this is going to be his first game coming back in. It's a league match. There's a little bit of pressure coming in. He's just getting settled back into, his little home that he called home for a while. And that is an absolutely great header. Just a flicking on header. All that pace done. Great ball with the outside of the foot from D'Agostini. Runs across the defender, flicks it on. Great goal.
So the notoriously fast-starting Boston Bolts trail early. Yaniv Bazini, the Israeli international who spent his last fall in Burlington. He scored 5 times as a catamount. He wastes no time, making an instant impact for the green. We wondered what he would look like. He gets on the end of one of those crosses, and that's something that has been lacking a bit from those men up top.
Well, that's kind of that's what we talked about with the 3 forwards that we had, to select from, was that none of them had necessarily, like DK was about the tallest and the biggest, but he didn't necessarily have like this crazy aerial presence. Just because you're tall doesn't necessarily mean you're very good in the air for it. And so, Bazzini also being a similar, maybe just a little bit more height, you kind of wonder, does he have that aerial presence? Does he have that aerial attacking talent? And we're seeing it right away that, yep, he absolutely does.
Bazzini listed at 6'2". That's well done on the through ball for Sekulius. Pressured by Benny Prego, who's made every start at right back for Vermont Green. All 8 matches he's been at that right back spot. Again, the Bolts coming forward, and Prego trips up Aiton Rosen.
Giving them a free kick inside the Green's territory.
Great to have you watching. Those of you tuning in, just saw one of the tweets at us. Watching from South Carolina, it looked like. #UpTheGreen, and you might see your tweet pop up on screen. A couple early set pieces for Vermont Green to defend after striking first.
Can you ask whoever that was from South Carolina if they can get us a rate on maybe 18 holes? We'll come down.
We'll make the trip. Prego at the near post, the one who makes the defensive header.
And then eventually out for a throw into the green.
A picture-perfect start for the Green, though, Matt. This was a team that did not score for the first time all year on Saturday. The 1-0 shutout loss to the Pioneers. We talked about bouncing back and what that might look like. I think they drew it up with the early finish.
Yeah, that's exactly how you'd want, a bounce, the proverbial bounce-back match is get that early pressure, get some quality going immediately, and then get that early goal. Just, stick the proverbial dagger. But, I'm hoping that it has nothing to do with the rain the 2 times, the last 2 home matches that we've had, and that we seem to score when it's obviously sunny. So we can't be a fair-weather team.
Giorgio Probo looking for the run of Bilal Kamal. Kamal battling with Sardis Santos. And the youngster from Harvard chips it out of play for a Green throw. It is interesting. It was back-to-back rainy games where the Green struggled to score just a bit. Although it was rainy, I think, against Kingston Stockade when they put up 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
That was a friendly.
But it was a friendly.
Jake Ashford making his left-back debut. Normally we see him in the center-back spot. Here's D'Agostini. A bit too fancy. Tackled off of him by Isaac Heffes. And now the ball over the top. They were looking for Andrew Rentz.
Ashford took the space, though, ahead of time. He saw the play already coming just ahead of time, and he started to take that space. I don't know necessarily like if you start at the same point that he would have necessarily the pace for it, but he's not slow, so I trust him to be able to take the space up but also recover.
There's Bazzini checking into the midfield.
Ooh.
Probo. D'Agostini can run onto it. Felipe D'Agostini enters the 18, has it on his right. D'Agostini had his shot blocked, saved by Dylan Lane. Probo, a curler that just bends wide.
He's having a hot start, Probo. You know, that I understand that he didn't technically get the assist for that goal previously, but he was the one that read it, you know, off that bounce, held the ball, and then released Kamal into space.
And I'll ask you, it's his first time today that we've seen him be paired with Rodrigo Ferreira. Ferreira is the deeper lying of those two central midfielders. We're seeing Probo in a much more position higher up the pitch than it felt like he was against Western Mass.
Yeah, a little bit more advanced. Maybe it was just because you don't know, you can't always necessarily tell, because Ndia would definitely be like what you would consider maybe a little bit more of a center defensive mid, you know, because of like his natural qualities, and he's a physical player for it. But they both kind of traded off against Western Mass, and maybe sometimes that causes just a tiny bit of confusion on when to go, you know, who's the provider, those sort of things when you're trying to form a partnership deep in the midfield.
A big tackle from Dylan Lane on Connor Gibson has Gibson slow to get up. There's another look at Nick Christopherson back in net, the Penn captain in the fall. Third start in net for Christopherson in league action after 4 consecutive Nathan Schnurr starts. And they are going to have a look at Connor Gibson. He has been a regular in the lineup for the Bolts, making his 7th start in the 10th league match of the season. A Bolts side that really do, similar to Vermont Green, they rotate a lot of bodies in and out, but in under 10 minutes, Gibson's banged up.
Doesn't look like much of a bench to select from either from Boston Bolts, so this will be a little bit of a concern. You know, generally you take a knock and kind of think about it for about 30 seconds, and then you get up from it, but he looks like he's actually in a good bit of pain, and I'm not sure necessarily he's going to be able to carry on. He's getting up now, so we'll see.
A couple midfield options. Harry Sankey from Northeastern available off the bench, as is Adam Pham, who plays a bit of an attacking style from Colgate. You can see Gibson there, helped off by the Green Athletic training staff.
He's limping heavy. Generally, you know, if you could recover, you'd start to put a lot more pressure on it, but we'll see.
That is Kate Harney, head athletic trainer, helping Gibson off the field. And immediately the Bolts do send players to the touchline to start warming up. That would be a big loss. Gibson is the guy that started in that spot in the middle. You could also see Kwame Adu Gyamfi, who's made 6 starts, plays as a Yukon Husky. He's familiar in that middle spot. If there was a spot for an injury on this Bolts side, the midfield's the spot to do it. They've brought, of their 6 backups, 5 of them are listed as midfielders.
Oh.
So, in theory,
that bench will have midfielders.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And the Bolts get the ball going again.
For now, the Bolts playing down a man. Or did they already make the sub? No, they haven't yet. They're down 1. A Yaniv Bazini glancing header at the 2.5-minute mark. The difference early on. Well, as we're starting to take a look at the Northeast Division standings, things are beginning to crystallize. It's pretty clear that there are a top 3 in the division, as there's a great tackle from Ferreira to win it back for Probo. Western Mass, Seacoast United, and Vermont Green, clearly the top 3 teams in a division where only 2 of them can make the playoffs. Feels like it's time to start feeling a bit urgent in moments if you're the Green, as you haven't separated from anyone and you're not in a surefire playoff position.
You know, just like any league, at whatever level it is, you can essentially look at your entire schedule and you can identify basically your hardest matches, and you don't necessarily scratch those ones off, but you basically put those as, it's okay if we get a point out of those maybe. Yeah. It's not the end of the world if you get a loss at those, but you have to win all of the other matches that you are expected to win.
So far, that's exactly what the Green have done. 7 matches. They're in second place at 5-2. They have 1 game in hand on the Pioneers, who lead them by 3 points atop the division. Seacoast has a game in hand on the Green. They sit 2 points back of Vermont Green, so perhaps have the inside edge on that second playoff spot. But we're only at about the midway point of this campaign. A long ball intended for the run of Sebastian Restrepo, who wears the number 9, fielded by Christofferson. My long point there being, Matt, this is back to one of those games where you need to take the 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely, especially after getting the early lead now. I would say it calls for necessarily like a good bit of possession, a good bit of professionalism, but absolutely keep the emphasis on getting 2 and 3 goals in.
That's what Vermont Green have done against everybody but Seacoast and the Pioneers. Ashford checking out the Yaniv Bazini run. Man, he does glide. Bazzini, Dylan Lane receives. Back to goal. Probo. D'Agostini. Thundering shot got blocked by Dylan Walsh.
Look dangerous there. Lovely one-touch football.
There's Felipe D'Agostini. Headed to Syracuse in the fall.
Bazzini making the run, though. Getting on the end of that through ball, almost looked like it was going to go out, but he's got this pace in these legs for it. Gets the ball, plays it back in for Lane. Lane lays it off to Agostini. It's a good set of play.
Probo to the back post, handled by Lucian Wood. Wood making his 5th start of the year in net. And there's the substitution. It is Kwame Adu-Gyamfi, a 5'9" central midfielder from UConn. Had made 6 starts in 8 games for the Bolts prior to tonight. That was ridiculous from Kamal. Kamal working with Prego up that right-hand side. Now Giorgio Probo gets it back from Prego. Well defended by the Bolts. Sardi Santos and Jiwoo Lee both defending. And there's Ferreira to snuff out any potential break.
Yeah, and that's, everything we remember from Ferreira last season and, what his role is going to be. He's always going to be kind of that deeper line center, like a more defensive-minded midfielder in there, and we're already just seeing it again. He had a little bit of a 20-minute cameo coming on in the last match, and that was exactly the same style that he played. He was, there for a little bit more insurance in front of the defense, but also he actually has a lot of quality on the ball. He's a provider as well, but I think he's more defensive-minded, firsthand.
Ferreira and Prego both starred on the Franklin Pierce undefeated national championship team, a team that dominated the Division II landscape. What a ball from Ferreira there.
There you go.
D'Agostini finding loads of space down the left. He invites Heffis to dance. Heffis does well to stand his ground, force the ball back for Ashford. Probo towards D'Agostini, who came centrally. And Dylan Lane spears it to Prego to keep it in Green possession. Vermont Green beat the Boston Bolts 3-0. That was the season opener for the Green. On the road, where they've actually had more success than home so far. Jiwoo Lee looked to turn on Dylan Lane. Ashford tackles it back.
Vermont doing a really good job of keeping that high pressure. Even when they lose the ball, they immediately win it back. That's just from this full team press.
Kamal, his turn to venture centrally. A bit of a heavy touch from Lane, but he squeezes it for Probo. Ferreira wants to reverse. Ashford. Rodri Ferreira, he's a Portuguese international. To an England man, Bilal Kamal. Ferreira. The Bolts really sitting deep. Benny Prego gets the right-footed cross away, but couldn't find the right weight. A bit of a waste in the end, but good pressure from the Green.
Goal kick to the Bolts.
Sardi Santos looking for the ball forward. Michael Sekulius.
Mr. Evans, you made soccer practice fun.
Sekulius takes it away from Prego. And now the ball from Restrepo. Back for Michael Sekulius. Bolts are breaking. Sekulius has options. Takes the shot, and it's Christofferson down to his left.
Good hands from Christofferson. It was very well played by Boston Bolts there. The forward takes a touch, then lays it off. Good leading ball. dangerous attack, a 3v4. But well done by Christopherson to get his hands and make sure he kills the ball immediately off the strike.
A Bolts attack that have found their rhythm. They had back-to-back 3-0 losses to open the year. Since then, they've scored in every game, including a 3-0 win against Albany Rush. There's Lee, who takes it away from D'Agostini. That bounces off the official. Our central referee knocks it away on the Hefes drop pass.
He's unwilling to claim it. Gives the drop ball to the Bolts.
Hello from the UK. Great to have you with us.
It's late.
I'm impressed. Or is it early? No, it's late.
No, it's late.
Yeah. Sardi Santos finds Sekulius. He looks classy on the ball, but Kamal comes back to check it to his defense. Many of these players on the Bolts side, long-time Boston Bolts products. Of course, an academy that has done well producing talent such as star for Atlanta United and U.S. men's national team player Miles Robinson. Many of these players from the Boston region and have played for this club all of their lives.
It's interesting watching Bazzini that he actually drops in pretty deep and he kind of trades a little bit with Lane. Lane actually, I've seen him making runs beyond that back line. And then I've seen Bazzini come in and actually try to receive the ball. So he's playing a little bit more of a traditional number 9 position versus what we've kind of seen out of the other forward 3 available that, kind of try to make those diagonal runs into the lanes and receive the ball for it. So I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Kamal checks into a pocket. He angles his way to the center. That pass behind Lane and cut out from D'Agostini, defended by Dylan Walsh. Adu Gyamfi. The left back, Sardi Santos, plays it back for Walsh. Lee, space enough to turn, pops it wide for Rent.
Vermont not necessarily pressing the entire team too high up. I'm watching the actual back line and DA and Jones kind of sitting on those forwards. They're keeping very mindful of them. And so you can see it's almost like a very controlled shape to how they're defending. Like they're waiting for more like the errors. They're putting a little bit of pressure, and they're waiting for the error to come, and then they kind of start their attack for it. But it's not this like incredibly aggressive like whole team press for it. Otherwise, you would start to see, that back line would take a little bit of liberties, get in front of whoever, their mark is, and, basically try to push even the midfield further up so that the forwards can all just occupy that entire Boston Bolts back line. But they have the lead, so it makes sense, kind of play it a little bit safer.
Ferreira coughed it up to Restrepo, who's been acting as the central attacking figure in the Bolts formation. And again, Boston able to get it back under control after the Green held it for a few moments. Cole Dewhurst, the left-sided center back. Sekulis. Eitan Rosen dueling with Prego. Beats him. Rosen, a right-footed drive, smacks the crossbar. A real chance there from Eitan Rosen.
It's not often you see Prego, go to ground and kind of get beat from there. But, just on that chance, it was all of a sudden just completely transitioning. And hearts in mouth, you had 3v2 and a clear shot on goal for it. Any little bit better of a shot, and that might have been a goal.
I can see head coach Adam Pfeiffer and assistant coach Chris Taylor having a conversation on the sideline. Now Ruben Ayarna joining them. The coaches for Vermont Green, there they are. They're having a conference. They're trying to figure something out over there.
Well, I think, the biggest threat has been coming from the left side for the Boston Bolts. Like all of the 2-3 chances have been coming from that side of the field. So I think they're probably talking a little bit about, maybe adjustments or, little pieces of information to pass on to Prego. See if Ndie needs to like actually shift over and cover him just a little bit more.
I was going to ask about that. And Ndie is making his third start at center back this summer. But Ndie not playing necessarily out of position as D'Agostini draws a foul. But it is a new partner for Nate Jones. The two of them worked together a little bit against the Pioneers, but for the first time we'll see them and the whole back line working together with Ndie as a focal part of it.
Well, a lot of these players are really versatile. They have a lot of different qualities. And Ndie, playing in midfield, he had all of those defensive qualities you wanted from maybe a more defensive-minded midfielder. And that carries over a lot into like a center back position. We've seen that at the highest levels, and we'll see it at the USL 2 level. So it makes sense to also play him at center back in this case and keep that rotation going, keep the whole team healthy. But there's no drop off necessarily in the coverage when you're playing Ndie as a center back. He might be phenomenal at it.
Probo towards Ndie. Oh. Jones got up for it. It deflected out, and the Green have another corner. Well, that's a bonus of having Ndie, Ashford, and Jones on your back line. Those are three big bodies, all of whom can be real set-piece specialists in the box.
If I am taking a corner, I've got, a heat signature on Jones's head. That's the one I'm trying to find.
Let's see if Probo can get his laser out and drop one right on the top of big number 13.
Or Bazzini.
Towards Bazzini, and Ndie took a flick. Jones stabs at it. A Bolt body down. I think they got a shoulder in the back from Musa Ndie. But everybody back to their feet, and we play on. Probo's next ball stops. It falls to Prego. And the calm presence of Ferreira switches for Ashford. They definitely look dangerous on corners, but there's a poor giveaway. It's Sekulius who picks it up. He's got Restrepo with him, but it's bobbled by Restrepo. But again, Michael Sekulius just maybe causing a bit of nerviness to go through the Green side.
He's been the threat so far for this first half, absolutely. When he gets on the ball, he's the one that's actually providing either that through ball and creating that attack from there. So, you're going to have to be very mindful of him if you're Probo or Ferreira especially.
He's a relatively recent arrival, only his third start of the summer. Ferreira beautifully through. Bazzini, flag is up. Lucian Wood got a foot on it anyways.
Great ball forward and a great run.
I thought Ferreira
he was on.
Timed it pretty perfectly on the run to Bazzini. But there's a look at one of those diagonal runs from Bazzini you're asking about.
Yep, exactly. So we see him just make the run behind. Yeah, maybe I guess like he was just a little bit offsides, but that's the one where you're running behind the defender, and it's so difficult because you're trying to keep this good shape. But then when they're making that run behind, it's really difficult. You try to time it out. You play the offsides trap, and you're taking a risk when you do that.
Dylan Lane, Kamal. Bilal Kamal from Dylan Lane. A strike from Kamal.
Really good attempt. Great first touch on a difficult ball to control, and then a really good strike, just a little too central.
They flip-flopped places. Dylan Lane was centrally, and Kamal was wide right. Now Kamal is coming in the middle, and Dylan Lane on the right-hand side.
It might be, like the actual plan beforehand, and that might be something from the coaching staff that, listen, we start in these positions from it, but this is fluid. So at no point that necessarily you only play on the right side, you only play on the left side, vice versa, whatever. So, and that we've seen that actually a lot from last season and a little bit into this season is that the forward three midfield, they all kind of rotate around, especially as like the play progresses. If it's like counterattack, those kind of things, like you're not locked into this segment of the field.
Probo knocked off the ball and all the way back to Lucian Wood. It was immediate, though, and Dylan Lane moved out there. Kamal comes central. Those two connected to create the most recent chance.
Well, Dylan Lane does a really good job of like finding that space. He's very sneaky about it. That's what we saw a lot against Western Mass was he in that first half, especially in like the first 20, maybe 30 minutes. He was the most available and open player for that big, long switch of play.
Adu Gomfi. There's Dylan Lane helping out defensively. Took a poor touch and eventually fouled the left back Sardi Santos. Here's the Vermont Paladin. Lane, who's been in great form, has scored 3 times in the last 3 games. No choice for Sardi Santos but to flick it down the line, handled by Musa Ndiaye. Probo. Ferreira. Ndiaye with Jones. There's a better first touch from Lane. Probo had Prego making a run, chooses to reverse for Ferreira. Swung for Jake Ashford. He's got room. D'Agostini's on his left-hand side. Probo's pass almost nicked by Sardi Santos, but controlled by Prego. Lane avoiding the press from Kwame Adu-Gyamfi.
He's looking a little bit more comfortable, actually, on that right side, Lane.
And we know Bilal Kamal loves playing in that number 10 spot.
Yes, he does. Kamal wants to take a shot.
Now he comes wide left. D'Agostini is central. Kamal got his dancing shoes on for Ashford. Ashford provides service, and Dylan Lane puts it across the line, but the flag is up. The flag is up on Dylan Lane.
Really, really good play, though, and honestly, that's fantastic from Ashford. Maybe it's just a little bit of a mistimed run from Lane, but otherwise, that's perfectly weighted.
And that's what we're talking about with Lane. He loves just creeping in from that wide area. Pretty good ball from Ashford, though, huh?
But that's something Ashford is going to be expected to do in place of Messer. Messer being left-footed, having that, the ball going back across the 18. He has that whipping ball versus Ashford has a, cultured right foot. So he's going to need to take that little touch inside, and it's going to be really difficult because that ball's going to lead in.
Bazzini on the end of another one, but he couldn't get his laces through it. That ball from Prego after Dylan Lane helped start the build-up. There's a look at the Dylan Lane finish. He knew immediately. He saw that flag go up.
Well done by Ndiaye.
That is a physical header.
Yeah.
I would not want to go up for a header against this backline duo of Ndiaye and Jones.
Especially Jones. I keep noticing it. It's like he's an absolute unit back there.
Picked up by Sebastian Restrepo. Ferreira works hard to win the ball back. Ashford finds himself coming forward. Well handled by Kamal. Bilal Kamal. Goodness. Kamal picks out Lane. Lays off for Probo. Probo with his left. The deflection earns another green corner. Wonderfully worked.
Just within, millimeters or, just a half second, just a little bit of a softer touch. He takes that, one time, but he had to take the prep touch. And then the shot, and it was closed down from it. But another really good series of play. A good little flick on from Ashford, even with his right foot just to get to Kamal. And Kamal he's having his way right now on that left side.
Yeah, Kamal has maybe been player of the match for me to this point. He's been just doing everything he wants. Probo, a low-driven ball, again towards Jones. Ferreira could not find a way through that brick wall. Giorgio Probo early service. That time it was Ferreira who went up after it. Really well defended by Cole Dewhurst.
Silly foul from Jones there. He's going absolutely nowhere. There's no reason for the foul. Just keep the pressure. Make them make a mistake. Make them make an error. Get the ball back and keep that attack alive.
There's a look at the Bolts coaching staff, manager Gabe Margolis in his first year at the helm. This is a Bolts side that have proven to be tough to beat. After their first 2 losses of the season, they have won 1 game, tied 5, and lost only 1 since then. They've just found a way to scrap points from almost every fixture. That's a miscue to the feet of Bazzini. And now Kamal. Bilal Kamal. It's a right-footed drive right into the chest of Lucian Wood.
Did everything right, but then the strike just too central again, creates that chance for himself, and, credit to him, but I want to see just a little more quality, make the keeper work, make him work to his left or his right.
He is slightly more naturally left-footed than right. Bilal Kamal, when he scored in the friendly against Kingston, I said, finally. It was his first in a green uniform, but he's still yet to score a USL 2 goal in 2 seasons. I think he's due for a finish.
Yeah, I mean, he has it. I feel like, what was it, last season he was starting almost every single match for 10 matches straight, so he was getting a lot more time to actually, get those goals in for it, and he's been sharing it a little bit with Zengi. And
it was a big part of last year's squad that Kamal was able to set up, the likes of O'Malley and Diba Nwegbo and Aitor Bjorgolfsson. Again, Prego beaten, and again, the race is on for the Bolts. They've got a chance to equalize. That drive blocked by Jones. Well done as Aitan Rosen again out-muscled Prego down the left. And again, they've got space. Pushed high by Sekulius.
And again, it's that left side for the Boston Bolts that's creating the most havoc and is the most dangerous, attack that's coming from the Boston Bolts for it. So there might need to be a couple adjustments come halftime. I don't foresee it right now, but there might be some changes coming from Adam.
Prego just went right up to the official, asking about a potential foul in that sequence. The referee was having none of it. Well, Prego out there on the right-hand side, 5'8". Unlike the rest of this back four, he's not a physical presence, but he's the guy that could beat you 1v1 when attacking with the ball. It has been interesting to see him struggle a bit with that physicality defending tonight. Really the first time I've thought that about him all year, that he's struggled with some physicality.
And it's been Rent, correct? Yeah, for the most part. So
Rosen and Rent, both up that side of the fields.
Is he living in Prego's head rent-free?
I hope Prego's charging something. D'Agostini tiptoeing his way down the left-hand sideline. Prego's eyes are up. He wants to cross it over the head of Bazzini. D'Agostini was beaten to it by Isaac Heffes. And calm defending from the Bolts. Looked like they had Bazzini sandwiched on that cross. He had no room to attack it.
Yeah, but if it's pinpoint, that's all it takes. You know, a 6'2" striker. Just even if you're sandwiched, if you get up right, time it right, get the flick on, the ball does all the work. Just get a nice little contact.
Probo asking a lot of Benny Prego, and even he couldn't get on the end of that ball. That's how the first goal happened for Bazzini. Just barely getting a touch on the ball to beat the defense.
Exactly. You only need a couple inches.
It was quite the welcome from Yaniv Bazini in his Vermont Green FC season debut, scoring in the 3rd minute. Look at those fans, man. This place is packed.
Old Town coming out.
And why not? On the summer solstice.
Rain or shine.
Well, I think the shine helps today.
The shine absolutely helps. It's a little more full than it was against Western Mass and
Hard
Monsoon.
To blame them. I was so impressed by the fans who showed up to that one. We were at least semi-covered, but it was 55 degrees and rainy. But they have packed this place tonight, and their team is performing at a high level early. They're looking to double their advantage. Probo at the controls. Looking for Ashford. He just couldn't slide it for Kamal. Well read by Walsh. And a thundering header from Jones. He runs through Restrepo. And one back by Ashford.
Vermont Green retain possession.
Jones a torpedo there.
Yeah, that was absolutely brave. But that's what you expect out of, your center back at that size and that fitness and everything. He's got to get his head stuck in there.
And the Green ramp up the pressure again. Lane. Ferreira tiptoeing, keeps it. Flicks it towards Kamal, who took a shove right on the edge of the 18. It was a physical play by Walsh. The referee says nothing there. The Providence Friar Dewhurst still given room to voyage forward. And Ndie.
Good read.
So sharp.
Yeah. Read that from a mile away.
And look who's found space. Dylan Lane. And of course it was Giorgio Probo that picked him out. Prego again moving forward. He's attacking Rosen. The ball intercepted. Adu Gamfi fouled from behind as Prego and Ferreira just hustled to get back and recover.
I like that, Vermont is actually mixing it up, though, in their attack. We're seeing, some of the plays down the channels, and they're looking for the cross, that early cross for it, and that's fine. But they're also trying to actually create these intricate little 1-2s that you can find, through that 18.
On the screen right there is our producer, Justin St. Pierre. He's here as a fan tonight. It's his birthday. Happy birthday to Justin.
Happy birthday, Justin.
In the black hat in the middle of your screen. Great to have Justin and crew in town and have Justin get to enjoy this one as a fan. That's fun for him.
Yeah, if you're listening to the stream in the stands, go ahead and throw a French fry. He's a seagull. He'll gobble it up.
If I had one up here, I'd chuck some down to him.
Oh, no, I'm smelling that pork still.
It's
driving me nuts.
Scrumptious pregame. Always such a great atmosphere here in Burlington. D'Agostini on the stretch. Hefes recovers.
Deep in their half. Three-man boys trying to lift the boys.
Plenty of first half chances for the Green. The Bolts have had their share of chances as well, usually on the break. Jones scoops it, looking for Bazzini. Again, Walsh, the one who reads it. Or excuse me, that was Lee who helped out defensively to intercept with the header. And we've played over 40 minutes. The Green holding the 1-goal advantage from Yaniv Bazini. Probo, a rainbow ball. Bazzini now out wide.
I heard the kid say good ball, and it was.
And Bazzini earns a corner.
Really good spell of possession there. Drawing it back from D'Agostini all the way back to Probo. And then they play that big switch.
Short corner between Kamal and Bazzini, and Kamal makes maybe his first big mistake of the night. Gives up a goal kick.
Defender did well to get a foot in, and it just deflected off. But, that left side for Vermont Green has been primarily where a lot of the attack is coming from. But since Lane has switched over, now it's even more difficult for Boston Bolts because it's coming from both sides.
And DA knocks the header down to the feet of Ferreira.
Is the coolest cucumber you'll ever be thankful to me. If I ever need surgery, he's doing it.
It doesn't feel like there need to be lots of adjustments for the Green. You're ahead on the scoreboard. You've had lots of great scoring chances. As D'Agostini again finding this space out wide. Kamal back for D'Agostini. It's a goal kick. D'Agostini took a bump from Hefes. That's the University of New Hampshire right back Hefes, who Shouldered D'Agostini out of play, but it is a goal kick. But halftime adjustments, what do you think the message is in the locker room? While you are up on the scoreboard, you also have given up a couple of big chances.
I don't think there's going to be any changes at halftime necessarily. Maybe Prego, but honestly, those are really difficult to make a sub off of just because, those 1v1 situations where the midfield wasn't present to stop that ball that was leading through. And that's, any left back or right back, when they're dealing with a through ball for it, it's basically like, all right, it's all about recovery and just getting pressure on it. But outside of that, nobody has, had a bad game. It's been a very controlled match from Vermont Green FC. But, I think the emphasis is going to be very simply, you need a second goal. Get that insurance goal, because if this gets to 1-0 in the 70th minute, then it's going to start to get a little sketchy and everyone's going to start really worrying about potentially giving up an equalizer.
The Bolts have had a trend where they've had games with lots of late goals. D'Agostini wants to double the lead before the half, but again runs into trouble once he enters the 18. Now, most of the late goals that have come in the Bolts games this year have gone against them. They've given up some late leads against Seacoast, Pathfinder FC, Western Mass. And DA fouls Adu Gamfi.
It's a good foul. He lost the ball and he wanted to just kill the play immediately. That is a what we call a professional foul.
The good old hip check. And DA heads it into the back of Ferreira. Luckily, that pinball's to Jones.
Seems to have a magnet to his head, though. He's winning every single one.
Between him and Jones, they have combined to win every ball in the air. Lee outduels Ferreira.
And this is where it gets difficult for Prego right there. That's where I don't want him to go to ground. Take the space, hold the space, try to drive them outside. That's okay. Make it predictable, that play.
Rosen looking for the through ball. Sekulius was asking for it. Christofferson calm in the ends. That has been where the dangers come from, that exact little pocket.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's something that Adam will have a conversation about with him, just going to ground instead of, okay, if you can't win the ball, then make this as predictable as possible for your goalkeeper and the two center backs. Give them time, hold up the play a little bit as much as possible for them to get into position to cut out the cross or at least, get a mark on.
Rosen runs himself into trouble that time, and Prego gets the best of him. Lane trying to shield. He couldn't. We've played 45 minutes. A Yaniv Bazini goal in the third. The difference in this match. 3 vital points up for grabs as the Green turn to the second half of their summer calendar. On the first day of summer with the sun shining down. And a sold-out crowd. So far the Green have impressed. Back under control from Sardi Santos. And Lane had his heels planted on the white sideline. Into first half stoppage time. And it's Restrepo. Able to separate from Ndie. But he got the cross wrong. It's a corner. Slowly worked up the field by the Green in the waning moments of this first half. Ashford will send it forward one more time. Bazzini, the runner, almost an excellent ball from Ashford, but in the end, Wood pounces.
Yeah, I think at this stage, and where halftime whistle is going to be blowing, you might as well just kind of take one of those long shot chances for one of those runs from Bazzini.
There's Ashford reading the play, knocks it away from Adu Gamfi. And D'Agostini goes down. Now the referee will bring
Referee takes
the play
a
back.
second there, but decides it is a free kick.
The Bolts frustrated that he waited a moment to blow his whistle on Michael Sekulius. Here's a look at it.
Not a lot in it for me, honestly.
The Green will be fine to take the free kick and let more time trickle away. What a night to watch some soccer. We've got a pretty good view. That one from that balcony looked pretty good.
I was texting. I was like, I cannot get away from these monitors fast enough. Give me that sunshine and some football.
Just a perfect night. And still the first half continues. Ashford's pass. Walsh beat Kamal to it, and now it comes to a close. Yaniv Bazini have Vermont Green in front, 1-0, the lead for the Green. We'll step aside. A quick halftime report for you coming up in a few moments. Vermont Green lead at the break against the Boston Bolts.
Workers everywhere. Katie, it makes me very proud to see you on this field. It's over to you.
I stand before you today as both the Secretary of AFSCME 1674 and the Executive Vice President of the Vermont AFL-CIO. It is an honor to address you during this halftime break as we celebrate not only this beautiful game, but also the power of unity and solidarity in the labor movement. First, let us reflect on what unions are and why they are essential. Unions are democratic organizations formed by workers who unite to collectively negotiate with their employers for better wages, benefits, and working conditions. They are the backbone of a fair and just society, ensuring that hardworking individuals have a voice in the decisions that impact their lives. We've seen a recent victory among UAW 2322, Goddard College Support Union staff, who secured a new contract that achieved the raises that they needed to see and which does not include any management rights clause. This achievement ensures that workers have a say in the workplace, preventing unilateral decisions that disregard their rights and well-being. This success reminds us of the power of the collective bargaining and the critical role unions play in protecting workers' interests. Moreover, statistics show that union members can earn significantly more than their non-union counterparts. On average, union members earn 20% more than non-union workers. This wage premium is a testament to the strength of unions in advocating for fair compensation and ensuring economic stability for workers and their families. Beyond economic gains, unions foster workplace democracy. They provide opportunities for workers to learn how to govern themselves and take control over their lives. Unions empower individuals to have a say in decisions that impact their daily work, creating a more equitable and just environment for all. Today, we gather not only to celebrate our many accomplishments, but also to welcome our newest union siblings. Let us give a round of applause to the members of Scoopers United at Ben & Jerry's in Burlington. Woo! Their successful unionization effort reminds us that workers' rights are universal, regardless of the industry we find ourselves in. Together, we can build a more equitable and just society, one workplace at a time. We also rejoice in recent cross-union wins. such as the Barrie City Community Investment Ordinance. This groundbreaking legislation mandates prevailing wages and benefits for construction workers for all large city-funded projects. By ensuring fair compensation for all workers involved, this ordinance sets a high standard for fair and ethical practices, creating a level playing field for both workers and employers. And through the leadership of the Vermont AFL-CIO and Building Trades Council since 2019, has now been passed not only in Barrie, but also in Montpelier and Burlington. Furthermore, let us recognize the incredible achievements of SEIU-CIR, UVM Medical Center physicians, interns, and residents. Their first contract victory includes a 20% salary increase over 2.5 years, guaranteed annual 4.75% increases, an education fund of $1,800 a year, a meal allowance of $1,800 a year, an additional week of vacation, and numerous health and safety measures. These accomplishments exemplify the power of collective action and the transformative potential of union representation. But our work is far from over. We must remain united in the face of ongoing challenges. I call upon each and every one of you to support the Vermont PRO Act. This crucial legislation will make it easier for both private and public sector workers to organize. The Senate has already passed it this year with a strong majority of 23-7, and now we must rally together to ensure its passage in the House. Sign our petition, visit our table, and get involved in the fight for workers' rights. Now, forming a union, however, is just the first step towards justice for workers. Capitalists want us workers to live in austerity while they live among the riches we produce. Right now, the state of Vermont is trying to renege on its pay bonuses to our home care workers, largely women, who are some of the hardest working, yet lowest paid workers in our state. These bonuses are key to retaining these essential workers. Their union, AFSCME 4802, has a petition too, demanding that the state pay home care workers what they have earned. Again, visit our table. Another upcoming battle that requires our solidarity is the UPS contract campaign. Over 700 drivers in Vermont, along with 340,000 UPS workers across the United States, are preparing for a potential strike. With an overwhelming 97% of voting members approving the strike authorization just a few days ago, the message is clear. Workers will not tolerate unfair treatment. Check out and sign the strike pledge available at our table to show your support. Finally, I urge you to join our workers' circles in Burlington, Montpelier, and Rutland. These spaces provide opportunities for individuals to learn about starting a union or strengthening their existing unions. By coming together, we can create a stronger, more resilient labor movement that fights for the rights and dignity of all workers. In conclusion, let us remember the power of unity and solidarity. Together, we have achieved great victories, but there is still much work to be done. Let us continue to fight for workplace democracy, fair wages, and safe working conditions. By signing petitions, getting involved, and supporting one another, we can build a future where every worker is treated with respect and dignity. Thank you, and let us march forward together toward a brighter future. United.
Thank you so much, Katie Harris. Make sure you...
The first day of summer, the concourse at Virtue Field is packed. The line to Ben & Jerry's is long, and their team in the lead 1-0 on a Yaniv Bazini goal in the 3rd minute. I mean, look at this packed house, Matt. The boys came out quickly, and Yaniv Bazini's first moment as a member of the Green, he scores.
Yeah, I love this outside of the foot cross from DiAgostini, and then that darting run across the goal to that near post and the flick on. That's a great goal.
Good possession from the Green then for the rest of the half, but outside of 1 or 2 shots from distance, not a ton of major scoring chances to show.
I think maybe it's creeping into their minds a little bit, the placement that they have within the group and that they have a lead. And it's sort of, I don't want to take as many chances. I don't want to be the one that give the ball away from it. And it's not that they're not trying, anywhere within that, like that attacking third and the 18 for it. But there is a little bit too many touches on the ball, in my opinion. I think speed it up a little bit, try to create these, like, a lot more 2v1 chances, take a little more chance. But I would also ask that Prego and Ashford try to get involved into the attack a little bit. Even Jones and Ndie, one of them go and one of them hold a little bit, join into the midfield, push Ferreira up a little bit, try to overload, because Boston right now, they're trying to sit in a little bit and they're playing on the break. So get the midfield packed in and then get those wide players as wide as possible and create this big umbrella around that to try to consistently try to find these chances and potentially a shot on goal.
I'm spotting one change for the Green. Zach Zangi has entered, and it looks like Dylan Lane has exited. So Zangi in that 10 spot. Bilal Kamal back out wide right. Still Felipe DiAgostini on the left-hand side of that attacking trio, sitting just below Yaniv Bazini.
Well, this match is crying out for a Zangi screamer. So, and he did get his screamer versus Boston Wolves.
45 minutes to play in Burlington. 3 big points on the line. And that's what matters in the end, right? It's 3 points, no matter how you get it. 1-0, 3-0. Just find a way to get the 3.
You're getting into the business side of the season now. Now that you've reached like the halfway point, like you said, the group is starting to crystallize in its standings for it. Now you have to pick up the points that you're expected to.
And Vermont Green will expect 3 points today on their home turf, a spot where they have not had the most success at home this season in league play. In 3 league matches, they're just 1-2, having taken only 3 points out of 9 possible. So a win today for Vermont Green would be a puff of fresh air, holding a 1-goal advantage.
Substitution for Vermont Green in the
Kwame Adu-Gyamfi gets on the ball. What a tackle from Prego. After he struggled in moments in the first half, that was strong.
Yeah, he'll know that he had a couple moments there that he didn't necessarily have the best performance or, the best positioning. He went to ground a little bit too much. I expect him to kind of come out with a little bit more fire in his belly.
The Bolts hunting an equalizer, a team that have 5 ties through 9 matches. This would be a big point on the road for the Bolts. Their center back, Dewhurst, comes centrally, and the strike was blocked from Sekulius. Now it allows Zangi to break. He's got DiAgostini and Bazzini. Still Zangi. Flips it. DiAgostini. It's Felipe DiAgostini! How did Lucian Wood stretch out and stop it?
I don't even think Zangi necessarily opened up his stride, and nobody could catch him. He just has this super quick dribble to him, and then that is just a perfectly weighted little cross over to DiAgostini. He takes a good touch. Great play.
And that is some save from Lucian Wood, his best of the night. Another corner for the Green. They've had loads of chances from set pieces. Probo, a low ball that is dealt with by Hefes at the near post. Again, big targets of Ashford, Ndie, Bazzini, and Jones all looming. Kamal occupying the keeper. Again, Probo. Another low ball that was covered at the near post. That time it was Sardi Santos right at the near post to knock it out of play. That's Jones! Nate Jones, his best look.
Jumped maybe just a little late, was a little bit too under it, but a good chance.
Probo finally finding the big 6'3" center back, who I think stands even taller than that. We need to check if he's grown since they measured him.
Yeah, he's bigger than Bazzini.
And Bazzini is listed at 6'2" as well. Prego wins the first ball but can't control it. A Bolt throw in. Probo a bit nervy on the ball. And that strike goes wide. That's Sander Pele. Fresh midfielder in the game, a Yale Bulldog Pele. 1 goal in 3 appearances so far. There's Probo just being a bit slow on the ball, and Sandor Pele right off the bench. His first action is a shot towards the target.
Lucky deflection.
Bounces right to
but it'll
Prego.
work.
And Kamal in the attacking third. Prego back towards Kamal. Shielded out for a goal kick. That was Aitan Rosen helping out defensively.
It's well defended by him, though. You know, if he doesn't actually make sure that he wins that physical, duel, that 1v1, then Kamal gets on that ball, and that's a dangerous cross across the goal.
It's a luxury having a center back like Jones who can win that ball so routinely.
Well, for their sake, I would hope that they would kind of not resort to that a lot, because trying to beat Ndiaye and Jones on these long driven balls to a striker that's...
There's Zangi, a one-hopper gobbled up by Wood after Ashford's header found Zangi. Yeah, he likes to take the shot.
But yeah, playing that long ball for it, I don't see a ton of success necessarily for Boston Bolts by going that route. Occasionally you can mix it up from there, but a lot of their success, if they had any, was coming down from that left-hand side in the attack. Playing when the striker would come in as the 9, receive the ball, and then play that through ball. That's when it gets really difficult to defend.
Prego slides for Zangi, out for a corner from Sardi Santos. Zangi fresh since entering. There's a look at the strike from Zangi. In the end, easily handled by Wood.
Again, though, too central. I want to see somebody test the keeper to the left or the right.
Zangi goes short to Kamal. Low ball with the left foot driven across. Well defended. The outlet for Sandor Pele. That somehow just stays in along the line. And Ferreira wins the ball. Rodri Ferreira. He is that enforcer type that I know you love.
Yep. Absolutely my preferred position if I could play at this level.
You could still lay the hip check in the midfield if
I can foul. I can foul.
I know you could.
Yeah, that's about all I can do.
A good tactical foul when needed from Matt Montel.
Stick that leg out.
That's why I try to stay on your good side.
Probo sends it down the right to Prego.
Benny Prego. Patiently worked from Probo. It's been a quiet night for Giorgio Probo, but he's been in the thick of many of these chances.
Big ball down the
Testing
left
Ashford
side.
here.
Can we get to it?
The captain gets on it, but he miscues it. Tried to go with the weaker foot, and Hefes picked it off. And that time Probo just tripped up the man from behind. He knew immediately he'd committed a foul.
Yeah, I think, going back to your comment about Probo having a quiet match, I wouldn't say it's actually been necessarily a bad thing, though, just to add to it. It's because watching him, he's been providing these really great diagonal balls, these switches of play for it, and that's kind of what his role is. Versus Ferreira is a little bit more in the trenches, getting those tackles in, winning the ball, and then getting it to Probo. And Probo's job is to try to find those wide midfielders, the forwards, and everyone else.
He's hit probably 3 or 4 of those long diagonal switches tonight that I've wanted to just say, oh, my God.
Just falls off the dinner table.
It's right where he wants it every time. Sakulius. And there's another heavy tackle from Ferreira. He upends Eitan Rosen.
You can see he enjoys it.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of something you're born with, right?
It's something that you just naturally like to do, is just get stuck in there, make those tackles, just absolutely harass players. A little sadistic.
Every good soccer team has those guys. Jiwoo Lee has found a spot, and he takes a shot from distance. Never tested Christofferson. Optimistic from Jiwoo Lee. Haven't really seen Christofferson tested much tonight.
No, he's had a pretty quiet match. I think he's had to make 1 save, maybe 2 that were directly at him, but otherwise he hasn't had a lot to do.
Second team All-Ivy at Penn in the fall. Again, it's Probo looking long, and Kamal does track it down and earns the corner. Well done from Probo and then Kamal. It's a throw-in, actually.
Yeah, it's not offside, Tom Proctor. It's an illegal throw.
Points for trying, guys.
Or is it a corner?
Is it a corner?
All sorts of confusion.
I thought he just threw it from the front of his head, which is illegal.
He might have.
But
it was a throw-in that did not matter, though.
Okay.
It is a corner kick.
And that's why it was pulled back.
And Giorgio Probo to the back post. Wood stays put. Jones gets a head on it. It's loose, and it's pounded in. Bazzini again. A brace in his green debut. A striker's goal, Matt. It was loose, and he pounded it home.
He stayed right in that dangerous, the mixer, as you call it, right in the 6-yard box there. It was a good floating ball to the back post. And what was it? Jones got his head on it, threw it right back into that dangerous zone right here. This floating ball. Jones gets his head on it, puts it perfectly, right exactly back in that dangerous area where it really, if it falls to anybody in green, all they have to do is get contact on it.
This crowd was waiting for another tally, and they pop off again. I think it's safe to say that Yaniv Bazini is proving his worth pretty early, and he's loving it. Look at that grin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scored by a Vermont Green player.
And he had a quiet kind of, almost that first 10 minutes. We saw him on the ball a lot. We saw him getting chances a little bit. And then it kind of tailed off. He wasn't getting a lot of service. He wasn't getting down into the midfield as much and getting on the ball from it. But honestly, great strikers, they just need a couple chances.
That's all it's been for Bazzini. He's only had a couple of chances. He's made the most of both of them.
Quick shout out to Matt Jenner and your dog Murph. All your friends at Switchback wish you all the best on your next big adventure.
This time it's Jones who pings it in Kamal's direction. Bilal Kamal willingly receives.
The wall on the right-hand side.
Probo on his left. Oh. Giorgio Promo millimeters away from a stunner.
I know the goalkeeper didn't move, but I don't think he knew that wasn't going in.
That had some sauce on it. A great angle here.
Yeah, gets a good touch, wraps his ball.
Wow. Quite the move on Prego from Rosen, but Ndie does recover and cut it out.
Big man moves.
Again, Rosen, though, making Prego struggle a bit on the defensive side.
Prego takes it again.
Prego given room to advance, and now Bazzini. Prego chopped down by Restrepo.
Ball's cleared
Benny Prego's just been a bit frustrated tonight.
Yeah, by his standards, it hasn't been his best match, but I think his qualities are really great going forward. I think that's where he excels the most, and I think he's when he's been called upon, maybe he's almost had a little bit too much time on the ball, or he's been caught in these like 2v1 situations, so it's been a little bit difficult because that left-hand side for the Boston Bolts has been the primary point of attack for them. It's been the most dangerous.
Ashford battling. Thumped by Walsh. It falls to D'Agostini. He finds Zangi. Zangi taps it for Kamal. Back for Zangi. It's loose. And in the end, Dewhurst recovers. Tic-tac-toe passing, just missing the finish.
Couldn't quite find that final product to stick it in the back of the net.
Lee.
Ooh.
Working on Ferreira. And out it comes to Rosen. Oh, but his first miscue tonight, Aitan Rosen, the BU Bulldog, has been having his way up this left-hand flank. Couple of substitutions coming from the green.
Clardy, Adam, and Nacho?
Pacella, Charlie Adams, and Nacho.
Ah, okay.
You were close. The binoculars helped me out there. There's that trio. A former Catamount, a current Catamount, and a Brown Bear. So Giorgio Probo out, Daniel Pacella in.
Fantastic David D'Agostini.
D'Agostini exits. Adams enters. And Kamal exits, and LaRache will come on. So both Bazzini and LaRache a chance to play together.
Hometown hero Charlie Adams.
Or no, is that Federico Tejas? That might be Tejas and not Nacho.
D'Agostini making his way for number 7, Tejas.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It is Federico Tejas. Never saw his number for a moment. My mistake. So Tejas, Zangi, and Adams, the new attacking midfield group. There's the first look at Tejas as he welcomes Zach Sardi Santos right to the match.
And I think having Ferreira and Pacella sitting in front of that back four, now Adams is like, go ahead and try to get a third goal, but we're not giving up a goal.
Quick reminder, fans, alcohol sales will end in 15 minutes. Once again, alcohol sales end in 15 minutes. Go grab yourself a nice cold beverage now.
Bolts preparing substitutions. After that tackle from Tejas along the sideline, the Bolts were asking for a foul, then they were asking for a throw-in, and our official in the center of the field, I don't think saw any of it because he was preparing for the substitutions. Here come the Bolt trio of subs. I'll get you their information as soon as I have it. It is Kwame Adu-Gyamfi exiting along with Michael Sekulius. Well done. Pacella got it from Tejas. Bazzini pops it to the back post. Zangi is able to recover. He's so quick.
He's rapid. In those little spaces, he's absolutely rapid.
It's Ferreira's turn to distribute, but Ji-Woo Lee had it read. Now Rosen can run. Adam Pham, fresh off the bench. He gets inside the 18. Pham across, and Christofferson on top of it. Here's the danger of the Bolts. They've shown just a bit of prowess on the break.
I'd just like to draw everyone's attention to the setting sun on this day, the longest of days. Big thank you to the sun. Without you, we would be a cold, dark husk. Happy solstice, guys.
Right now it is Adam Pham joining Restrepo up top. Pele on the right-hand side with Rosen still maintaining the left for the Bolts. That's a new man in the back line, Henry Richter, a 6-foot center back from Northwestern. I believe he replaced Dylan Walsh along the back edge. Flag is up as Bazzini comes across the 18. He gets upended, but the flag was up for offsides prior to that Bazzini chop down.
He's having a really good second half, not just the goal, but he's getting involved. He's getting everywhere. He's getting on the ball.
Could have been a foul there on Bazzini, but the flag had already gone up. This time Prego gets the best of Rosen.
Lovely tackle by Prego.
I'm sure Benny will be pleased to finally have won that battle. Now Tellez gets fancy.
That was tickety-boo.
And Pacello works it across for Ashford.
Tellez getting immediately in the game, looking like he's been playing for 45 minutes already.
Zangi had it caught underneath him. Well, you remember the last time we saw Tellez here, he scored a couple of goals quickly off the bench against Kingston Stockade FC. A strong challenge from Pacella. Has it back for Adams.
On the left-hand side.
Fun to see Ferreira and Pacella working together again. They were often the starting center midfield duo a year ago. And DA almost turned it over but wins it back. This feels cool, calm, and collected from the green at the moment. Of course, as soon as I say that, Jones passes it too far in front of Ashford out of bounds, but just calmly letting some clock wind away there.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised that, 2 down for the Bolts, that they're not actually going like a full press all the way up to try to force an error out of Vermont. And Vermont just haven't really broken a sweat much. They haven't had any scares so far. They've been happy to play possession just out of the back, kind of floated around with the midfield and their wide players, and then ping, they can play it out of the back there.
And here goes Prego. Turns on the afterburners. And Pacella asking for Adams to chase. Isaac Hefes ushers it out for a Bolt throw. It is interesting. It doesn't feel like the Bolts are pressing that high up the pitch. We haven't seen that from them all night, but you would expect them to feel like they're chasing it a bit more.
Yeah, I would hope that, any team within this group and in this league, that they don't just necessarily think at, 2-0 down that the game is just over. It's the 65th minute, 66th minute. There is time to cause trouble and to nick a goal and then really absolutely, turn the game on its head. But so far I haven't seen that emphasis from them.
Earlier this year, they had a 1-goal comeback that resulted in a tie. And now Zangi and Bazzini on the break. It's Zangi! Saved by Wood. In the end, a bit of a tame strike.
Yeah, just snatched at it a little bit. You could see that he wanted to knuckle it just to get under that far, low part of the post, but just got a little too much wrapped around it. Taking another look at this. Caused the error, and then there, you can see what he wanted to do, but then he just got a little bit too much on the inside of his foot.
Would you like to maybe see him slide it across for Bazzini, who's sitting on a hat trick?
I thought he might have done that, but, he also did have a good view of goal to take that shot.
It was 2 good options. Off the Bolts turnover. We've also got Kunoa Brayboy, a Yale Bulldog who's now in the midfield. But as I was saying, the Bolts, part of their 5 ties this season, they've given up a lot of late leads, but they also had a big come from behind where they scored in the 86th minute against against Boston BlackRock FC. Took me 3 tries, but I finally got that team name right. So this is a team that do know how to play from behind, and they do have experience in which games do get decided late and have been decided by late goals. Just doesn't feel like they've had many options outside of this right here. Prego dives in for the challenge and apparently did so cleanly. I thought he might have caught Rosen.
I thought that he definitely fouled him, but the ref felt differently.
It's been a battle all night where the ref has swallowed his whistle both ways. And the Green just going to politely play this one out of play while our head official checks on Rosen. It's been Rosen and Prego who have had this jockeying battle all night. Here it is.
Yeah, and you can see he definitely crunches. He gets that. It's a little gross because he gets his leg caught. You can see his knee move with it.
I think
but he definitely didn't get the ball.
Meant to be a physical challenge, turned into a physical foul. But Prego maybe was due one of those breaks after he and Rosen, look, they've been doing that to each other all night. Nothing's been dirty. It's just been really clean and physical contact for the most part.
He's having a conversation with him now, too. He's like, listen, I had to go for it. I didn't want to get in a 1v1 race with you. You've got all this pace and bigger than me, so.
Sandor Pele picked it off, but his pass too much weight for Restrepo. Again, there's Christofferson. Zangi wins it back, and Prego takes it from Lee. Adams checks in centrally. Oh, but then gives it away to Pele. One right back after the heavy touch by Picella. Feels like the Green have done that a lot tonight. They win the ball right back after a cough up. There's another giveaway that Ferreira recovers on.
Yeah, as soon as they lose it, you see three, Green players just immediately put pressure on it, whether it's a mark or they all suck into the ball, and they win it back very quickly. It's a really good characteristic of this team.
Sandor Pele, able to beat his man in a foot race, but runs out of room along the end line. It's a goal kick.
Bolts have a good run down the right-hand side, but can't keep it in, and it is a goal kick.
And the Bolts getting another substitution ready. I think this is Harry Sankey, which would be the last of the available men on their bench. That is Sankey, the Northeastern midfielder, although he's coming in at the top of this formation for Restrepo. A 6'2" forward. He's got a chance to battle with Jones and Ndie. There's a bit of pressure from the Bolts, but Picella makes a nifty run. Couldn't quite find the ball behind him. Bolt throw.
Ladies and gentlemen and friends, it is your 4-minute warning for last call for alcohol. So you've got 4 minutes to go get yourself.
Another look at the Green coaching staff. A couple more subs being prepared from the Green. I think now we might see Nacho Lurich, and I believe a Vermont Catamount Zach Barrett could be preparing to enter.
Curious who Barrett's going to come in for. Both Jones and Dia have been absolutely phenomenal this match, so I could see either one, but.
Ashford, a rare giveaway. Sankey picked it up. Harry Sankey driving with his right foot. Jones gets in front and blocks it. Forced backwards to Hefes. It's one of the first miscues from Ashford all night, really all year.
That's a good ball from Picella.
Zangi can run. He thought Tejas was making that angling run on the right-hand side.
Yeah, you could see what he thought in his brain for it, but just unfortunately wasn't there.
Dewhorst slides it for Pham. Rosen. There he is with Prego again. They are still locked shoulder to shoulder. Pham spinning on Ferreira. It's Andrew Pham cutting inside to his right. Knocked away to the feet of Ashford.
Adams picks the ball up in the middle of the field, out to Tejas.
And Bazzini's come wide into a nice space.
Bazzini sees some space on the left-hand
Fantastic
side and
cross of the
switches.
ball.
Ashford controls with his chest. A deflection. Richter just keeps it out from being another green corner. One back by Jones with India. How about that from Bazzini, though? Quite the ball across for Ashford.
Well, I think, he was getting a little bored, so he came down over to the channel and was like, I want to get on the ball. It's been, 5-10 minutes since I've actually touched it. So, but that's what you want to see out of your striker. If you're not getting on the ball, go and get it.
He's bigger than you. Nate Jones is massive. He's bigger than you.
Tejas into the 18. Had it on his left. And Pacella back for Ashford. That chant was, he's bigger than you, he's bigger than you. Nate Jones, he's bigger than you, from our man Tom Proctor. He sings it much more beautifully than I just did. And he's not wrong. Nate Jones, more than likely, is just bigger than you. Flag up on Tejas, apparently.
Just as the green was starting to purr.
The Green have had a couple of those close calls on the offside today where it just been a bit wandery, maybe.
Maybe.
Another Vermont Green substitution.
And before it can be put back in play by Hefes. Benny Prego will check out.
28, Zach Barrett. Give him a hand, guys.
So Barrett coming in for Prego. This is interesting now. It's going to be a back line of Ashford, Jones, Barrett, and D.A.
Solid.
Those are four behemoths back there.
That is not necessarily any attacking going on in that back line. That is, I want all 3 points.
And there's a challenge and a half from Ferreira. You remember when you battle with Rodri Ferreira.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just something, again, what he loves to do, and he times it out so well. He's very good at it.
He gets it back from Zengi and gets it back again from Bazzini, and one touches it towards Adams.
And then you see that class from him.
Adams on the ball now. Harried down the left.
Well done from Adams. Under a lot of pressure there just to keep the ball.
Jones has his eyes up. Ashford, a willing runner. Flag stays down on him for now. Ashford could not get on the end of it.
Wasn't his preferred foot, I think.
It will be interesting. I don't think we're done seeing Jake Ashford at left back going forward.
Is this Nacho coming in?
Another Vermont Green substitution.
Sure is. Ferreira out, Laraich in.
Big game for Rodrigo. Coming on.
So I'm wondering how they're shifting. It's going to be Zengi and Pacella?
It appears that way as of now. Zengi and Pacella with Laraich playing that number 10 spot. First action from Barrett. He intercedes nicely. Does miscue it out of play, but Barrett stifles the defense, stifles the
Taking it
offense.
old school, guys.
So Adams putting together, an absolute solid back line, absolutely no nonsense back there that, all defend first and then attack when you can. But then he's shifting and he's having Pacella, is a little bit more of that defensive-minded midfielder, but putting Zengi in there, who we all know what Zengi does. Zengi is a provider. He's attacking-minded. He's an incredibly good dribbler of the ball. So he's giving a little bit of both in that midfield.
There's Zengi getting the deflection in. Fede Tejas. And now Barrett. Intended for Nacho Laraich. Well won by Henry Richter.
I thought Richter was going to regret letting that bounce, but just got there in time.
You can see Nacho Laraich hungry to get back on the score sheet. The fiery Argentinian. A team best 5 goals on the season. Jones tried to shield the ball, but lost out. Lee. Taken down by Tellez, but pops back to his feet. Wins the ball over Zangi. Ashford. Tellez has found room. And now Laraich on the run. Nacho Laraich in on goal. He's got Yaniv Bazini. Laraich still working. Drops for Tellez. Federico Tellez taken away from Adams. It was Dewhurst who knocked it away for the Bolts. And another real rush. Comes up empty for the Green.
I kind of wanted to see if Tellez would just take that one time, just test the keeper from distance. Go ahead. The ball's got all the pace for it. All you have to do is just get good, clean contact on it and just hammer it.
There's Ashford roaming forward. 1-2 with Bazzini.
Great run. Great 1-2.
Adams joining Ashford. Throw in for Adams and the Green. That's as well as we've seen Ashford creep forward, isn't it? He's been conservative and patient, but we haven't seen him take many chances. That was a chance.
Well, he's judging it very well, for a player that's not necessarily known for his attacking. But right there, he sees his opportunity to take that heavy touch forward so he can get, forward. And then he sees the 1-2 and keeps the run going. He doesn't stop. He keeps the run going, which just breaks that line. And then, I think it's unfortunate. It's just because I think he really loves his right foot.
Hey, you go number 2.
That's Zach Sardi Santos. I think he left a shin guard behind.
Ah, okay. It's like we don't have a ball boy?
Look at that grin from Sardi Santos, a bit sheepish. Yeah, that's a shin guard. Do you like your shin guards super tiny? I know a lot of guys who get the smallest possible guards they can there.
Well, being a prolific fouler, I like them low because that's generally where I'm going to get a lot of the contact when I go in on a tackle.
Here's Zangi skipping his way in the 18. Pacella on his right. Shot blocked. All set up by a great move by Ashford.
Just a shout out, Deba Nwegbo just scored for the Birmingham Legion. Deba Nwegbo scoring again.
Again. Deba Nwegbo scoring again.
He has made quite the impact with the Birmingham Legion, I should say.
Good for him.
Led the team with 9 goals last summer. Lee knocks Zangi off the ball and finds Sankey. Deba Nwegbo originally was expected to return to Burlington this summer for Vermont Green, but then got the professional opportunity, and he has pounced on it. Sardi Santos. Rosen drives it across. It's set up for Sardi Santos. Missed the target with his left.
But no, there's just another thought on Nwegbo is, that's the whole point necessarily of the USL2 League. And whilst, we wish we could keep some players for years on end and watch them and, we fall in love with them pretty quickly, but you got to kind of remove the emotional attachment to some of these players because we want these players to get professional contracts at, larger clubs that are more established. And that's the whole point is this is basically like a giant ID camp, for you to showcase your skills and everything. But
it's been fun watching the likes of Owen O'Malley, Aitor Bjorgolfsson, now Deba Nwegbo all join the professional ranks. Many of the players currently on the field this time next year could be playing pro ball. Certainly the talent to do so. A chance to hone your skills here at the USL2 level. Still compete at a high level. Ashford just muscling his way forward and then gets taken to the ground by Richter. It is one of the best parts of this league, though, knowing that there are actually scouts watching.
Yeah, absolutely. On all these matches.
Ndie roaming forward. That's a good cross. It gets around Nacho. Bazzini goes to the ground. A chance for a hat trick after a dime from Ndie. What a cultured ball that was from the big fella.
Fantastic ball. It was just so unfortunate. Just couldn't find the head of one of the Vermont players. But, you know, that's the chances you need to create. And as long as you just keep doing that, generally it will fall.
Both LaRache and Bazzini had looks at it. I mean, if Ndie is going to put across balls like this, here's a right back.
I forgot for a second that who crossed the ball. It almost looked like a handball there. Missed that. Great touch from Pacella there.
He's been sharp.
Yeah, he's looked very comfortable since he's come in.
Cole Dewhurst. He's had a fine night at center back. Dewhurst continues to carry it. Now overlapping Rosen. Rosen attacking Ndie. He gets it back. Still Rosen. Pham. Towards Sankey, but it's Ndie. Cleans up the mess. Tellez splitting the defense. LaRache gets on it. Bazzini in the middle. LaRache driving. Couldn't get the cut back in. It was cut out by Sardi Santos.
One touch too many. It was just that last touch that gave a chance for the defender to get on and make the tackle for it. Wanted to see him just get that cross, get the cross off just one touch before.
Give Bazzini a chance. The big boys are going forward for the green. Fans stomping and clapping. Tellez. He'll supply it. Jones, Barrett, Ndie, Ashford, Bazzini, all up for it. It's Tellez with the lefty in-swinger. Drives it deep. It just evaded Barrett and Jones in the area. The green will have the throw.
Out for a throw-in for the green.
What have you thought from the corner looks today? They've had lots of chances. They've got the big bodies in there.
A lot better. We haven't had a ton of goals coming from corners, and the corners, there's a lot more whip tonight that I've seen on it. A lot of, they're actually, targeting, those taller players, and I'm seeing the taller players in the back, so you can see that they'll mix it up a little bit. We saw the goal from Bazzini that he ran across the front post, but then they'll mix it up and throw it in the back to the taller players who will head it back in, and then that's how you saw that second goal. So clearly something that they're improving upon and working on.
I ask because it feels like such a big advantage to have this many big bodies on your side and all able to get forward and get in the box on those moments. Feels like they should be scoring off of them.
Well, it was such a luxury to have a striker the size and how prolific Bjorgolfsson was, especially in the air. And he had so many different tools in his locker, and you could cross the ball and you just had to put it in an area at that point. But now when you have a little bit smaller players, from the before Bazzini showed up, it was kind of, you had to be pinpoint perfect with it. And I think now they're reaching this happy medium.
Some space for the Bolts to break. Pham. There's Ashford. Saw it from a mile away.
Get your favorite players' autograph at the end of the game at Autograph Alley, located in the northeast corner of the pitch.
Fede Tellez. Here he is on his left. Ran into traffic. Well done by Ji Woo Lee and company. Kuana Brayboy for Rosen. It's Pacella the initial tackle, and then Ndie takes down Rosen. And a yellow card shown to Musa Ndie. There must have been something extra in that challenge.
I am not allowed to speak.
It's pretty soft, but as Tom Proctor said, I am not allowed to speak. We can take another look at this.
Good initial challenge.
Good tackle. Oh, he goes to ground way, way too easy for me. He bought that one.
Goes into the book.
First time Ndie has been booked He has been steady. A dangerous free kick late in this game for the Bolts. Do they have a chance to muster a late surge in what would be their third consecutive tie if they can find a couple markers? Rosen standing over it, a two-man wall in front of Christofferson. Drives it low.
Off the wall from the
And
side.
Adams won it back.
I have no words for that cross.
6 meters before
You've
the
got
it was-
a really, really good chance to throw it into a really dangerous area and try to find one of the Bolts, one of your attacking players, anybody, and he does that.
Dare I say, I think it was a shot.
If it was,
I-
no words.
A wasted set-piece chance for the Bolts. They've come close at times today, hitting the crossbar in the first half. I thought for sure Tejas tripped up a man there, but no whistle as Brayboy down.
And it's missing just a little bit of quality from the Bolts here, but I feel like if they would have actually played the first half with this intensity, you can see there's a little bit more, emphasis and intensity, and they're looking to put more pressure and win the ball and get forward.
The changes they've brought in have helped with that, it feels
Sure,
like.
absolutely, but the players that were on the field beforehand could have been trying to do the same thing from that, but now it's too little, too late.
It's a Bolts squad that finished second in the Northeast Division of USL2 2 years ago. Last year, a sixth place finish. They entered tonight in seventh. As things stand, Vermont Green will move back into a tie with Western Massachusetts at the top of the division, with the tiebreaker going to the Pioneers.
That's a fantastic
What a ball. Bazzini on a hat trick! Yaniv Bazini buries the chance. He's got 3 on the night in his debut.
Perfectly timed run, Brian. Perfectly timed run. Let's take another look at this beauty. This ball is absolutely perfectly weighted just to sit in front of him. Keeper can't come out and get it. Right here from Pacella.
Daniel
Just a
Pacella.
cultured chop under the ball. Takes a touch, sits, and then the finish is immaculate.
Yaniv Bazini, you bad boy. That's all 3 of the goals tonight for Bazzini. A debut to remember.
Have we seen a hat trick in club history so far from one player? I can't remember one.
Not off the top of my head. Well, this offense felt like it needed a spark after getting shut out for the first time all year by Western Mass. And Bazzini has come in, those little runs that you talked about pregame, I felt like they've made a big difference.
I know that, it's not you're getting the hat trick, not against, the most prolific team in the group for it, but it says a lot, and it's the style of the hat trick. Like, every single goal is different. He's got the header that running across, that near post. Then he's in the right place, gets the shot off that, the ball down from Jones. And then there's that perfectly timed run. He sees that Pacella can get his head up. Pacella chops under it. Bazzini takes a little touch, just enough that the goalkeeper's stuck in no man's land. And then he does a great finish, an absolutely fantastic finish. So he's, a little bit of everything from there. And I tell you what, now Adam's got a headache. He's got 4 forwards to select from. And, we thought Nacho was pretty much at the top of the list, at least for most matches. But now, seeing this, he's going to have a decision to make for the next match.
Yaniv Bazini has been an instant impact player tonight. And I tell you what, Vermont Catamount fans, who I know there are many of them here in attendance and probably some watching with us as well, they've got to be licking their chops at that ball from Pacella to Bazzini, 2 Catamounts combining for the third tonight.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite of all 3.
Hard for me to disagree. The finish, the ball from Pacella. It was fun to watch it unfold in front of us. Nick Christofferson retrieves. He's sitting on what would be a shutout. In 3 starts, it would be his second. It's been exactly the bounce-back performance the Green were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly the performance and the result that you need after frustrating 2, back-to-back home losses against, Seacoast and Western Mass. And, those matches, they weren't, necessarily blowouts. Seacoast, they had, 4 chances, and they were lethal. They were lethal, but there was so many chances created in that match for Vermont. And then there was the Western Mass match where Western Mass sat back in a low block, and they got, that goal just off of an error that started with Messer, but then after that, it was a great finish, and then they were just chasing the match for some reason the whole time. There were so many chances that should have gone in the net, but they just didn't, and you didn't get the rub of the green, so to speak, on that. So I think Vermont, Green, they knew that, they understood that. They're like, we didn't perform badly, so just keep doing what you're doing, and now you're seeing exactly what happens.
Bazzini hunting a 4th. That would be a club record. I am reminded, Matt, that Deben Wegbo did get a hat trick here against Pathfinder FC at one point last year.
All right, of course.
Of course it was Deben Wegbo, who we were just talking about. Bazzini in the mix on another corner for the Green. Tellez will provide. This time out swinging with the left. It's deep towards Jones. Tellez covers ground to recover. And it's a 3-0 final. All 3 goals for Yaniv Bazini in his Vermont Green debut. Adam Pfeiffer's boys take all 3 points, and they're back in the win column in front of a sold-out crowd.
Yeah, great performance again. Just to reiterate, really controlled possession, dictated the play for almost the entire match, and you saw the result. They created those really good chances, all 3 different types of goals. Credit to them, that's a really great bounce back, and I think everyone can go home happy with that and think about the next match.
I know that man's going home happy. Bazzini with the header in the first half, a tap in on a corner in the second, and a breakaway goal late in this game for the exclamation. Instant impact from Bazzini. He returns, as well as Vermont Green FC on Saturday against AC Connecticut. Next up for the Bolts, a week off before hosting Boston City FC. Matt, I think it's going to be about Bazzini when I look back on this one and his 3 goals, but overall just a really complete performance.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, perfectly well said. A complete performance, really well defended, good possession, created lots of chances throughout the match, and they got the result.
3 points in the end. Vermont Green FC improved to 18 points on the year. All smiles on the first day of the summer, and what a summer it promises to be. We'll talk to you on Saturday, our pregame show starting right around 6:40 p.m. Kickoff at 7 p.m. as the Green take on AC Connecticut. For our entire production crew, one more big happy birthday shout out to Justin. We're signing off. For Matt Montel and everybody else, I'm Brian McLaughlin. Talk to you next time at Virtue Fields.